On a dark, rainy night, the coastal road in California seemed like an oppressive scene. Chloe tightly gripped the steering wheel as raindrops accumulated on the windshield, making it difficult to see the winding road ahead. The heated argument with her ex-husband, Jack, echoed in her mind like a poorly tuned radio she couldn't turn off. The intensity of the exchanged words, the contained anger, and the barely disguised frustration left her in a state of agitation that compromised her concentration. "Why can't he just leave me alone?" Chloe murmured to herself, her hands trembling slightly as she tried to maintain control of the car. The headlights reflected on the slippery curves of the road, and, for a brief moment, she got lost in a flash of the argument. Jack, with his face contorted in anger, was shouting something she couldn't precisely recall. It was as if her mind was protecting her from fully reliving that moment. Suddenly, a deafening sound of screeching tires echoed through the night, bringing Chloe back to reality. The car lost control, dangerously sliding towards the cliff. Chloe desperately tried to correct the trajectory, but fate seemed to have other intentions. The vehicle plummeted, spinning in the air before violently crashing into the rocks below. Meanwhile, a few miles away, Sam was finishing an exhausting shift as a paramedic. He and his team were eager to finally go home and rest, but an emergency call interrupted their plans. The ambulance radio crackled with news of a serious accident on the coastal road. Sam felt a chill run down his spine. Something about this call felt different, more urgent. "Come on, people. We have a serious accident on the cliff. We need to act fast," Sam instructed firmly, his voice carrying the urgency of the situation. The team responded promptly, and within minutes, the ambulance was speeding towards the accident site. Upon arriving at the cliff, the site was desolate. Chloe's car was in a deplorable state, crushed against the rocks. Without wasting time, Sam and his team began the rescue. The sound of the rain and the sea in the background blended with the quick and precise instructions Sam gave to his team. They managed to extract Chloe from the wreckage, but she was unconscious. Sam held Chloe's hand as they placed her on the stretcher, feeling an inexplicable connection to the stranger. "You'll be fine. We're here to help you," he murmured, more to himself than to her, as they took her to the ambulance. Hours later, in the hospital, Chloe began to regain consciousness. The sterile environment and the sounds of medical equipment left her disoriented. Her eyes blinked against the bright room light, trying to adjust. Next to the bed, Sam was present, watching her with a mix of concern and relief. "Where am I?" Chloe asked, her voice hoarse and weak. "You're in the hospital. We found you after an accident on the coastal road," Sam explained with a reassuring tone. "My name is Sam. I was one of the paramedics who rescued you." Chloe tried to remember, but her mind was foggy. I can't remember the accident. The last thing I remember is driving in the rain." "Don't worry. The memory may come back with time. The important thing now is for you to rest and recover," Sam assured, gently squeezing her hand. In the following days, Sam visited Chloe regularly, offering comfort and support as she struggled to piece together her fragmented memories. During these visits, a bond began to form between them, despite the adverse circumstances. One afternoon, while Sam was at the hospital, he received an urgent call from home. His mother, who was ill, needed care. Sam felt a pang in his heart. The responsibility of caring for his mother weighed on him, but he also felt a growing obligation to stay by Chloe's side. "Sam, you don't need to be here all the time," Chloe said, noticing the concern on his face. "I appreciate everything you're doing, but your mother needs you too." Sam sighed, dividing his gaze between Chloe and the phone in his hand. "I know, but I feel like I need to be here for you too. In a way, I feel like we're connected by something beyond this accident." Chloe smiled, a weak but genuine smile. "I feel that too. And, as confusing as everything seems right now, knowing you're here gives me strength." Meanwhile, Chloe's flashbacks became more frequent and disturbing. Fragments of her abusive relationship with Jack began to emerge, painting a dark picture of her life before the accident. She remembered the arguments, the manipulations, and the control Jack exerted over her. However, the night of the accident remained a mystery, an unsettling void in her mind. One silent night, Sam was at home caring for his mother, reflecting on his own past trauma. He recalled the accident that led him to choose a career as a paramedic, an event that shaped his life in ways he was still trying to fully understand. As he helped his mother take her medication, he realized how much their lives were intertwined by the tragedies they faced. "You've always been strong, Sam," his mother said with a weak smile. "And that young woman, Chloe, she needs that strength now, just as I always did." Chloe slowly opened her eyes, feeling the cold, white light of the hospital invade her vision. The pain was sharp and spread throughout her body, but what bothered her most was the sense of disorientation. She couldn't remember what had happened. Next to her, a man in a paramedic's coat was sitting, looking at her with a mixture of concern and relief. "Hi, Chloe. My name is Sam. I'm the paramedic who rescued you. You're in the hospital now, and you're safe," he said, his voice soft and reassuring. Chloe tried to speak, but her throat was dry and sore. Sam noticed and quickly offered her a glass of water. She accepted gratefully, taking small sips as she tried to organize her thoughts. "I can't remember the accident," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "What happened to me?" Sam took a deep breath before responding. "You had an accident on the coastal road. Your car fell off a cliff. We found you unconscious and brought you here. But don't worry, you're going to be fine. We'll figure out what happened together." In the days that followed, Chloe began to have disturbing flashbacks. She saw herself in moments of her relationship with Jack, her ex-husband. The violence and emotional manipulation she had suffered at his hands were terrifying, and these fragments of memory made her increasingly anxious. However, she still couldn't remember the accident itself. It was as if a crucial part of her memory was locked away, beyond her reach. Meanwhile, Sam was dealing with his own demons. At home, he cared for his sick mother, a strong woman now weakened by a degenerative disease. Caring for her was exhausting and emotionally draining, but he refused to place her in a care facility. The connection between them was deep, and he felt he owed her all the support he could offer. One night, after a long day at the hospital, Sam was preparing dinner for his mother when she called him from her room. Her voice was weak but determined. "Sam, my son, you need to stop carrying all this weight alone," she said, holding his hand firmly. "I know you feel like you need to take care of me, but you also need to take care of yourself. Don't let your past control your present." Sam swallowed hard, feeling his mother's words hit a sensitive spot. He knew she was right, but the guilt and weight of his responsibilities prevented him from making any different decisions. He remembered why he had chosen to become a paramedic. It was a way to try to make up for something he had never fully overcome: the loss of his father in a car accident when he was just a teenager. The sense of helplessness he felt that day motivated him to save lives, an attempt to redeem the pain he carried inside. At the hospital, Chloe and Sam began to meet frequently. Sam continued to offer his support, and a genuine friendship began to blossom between them. During one of these visits, Chloe was sitting on the bed with a distant and worried look. "Sam, I keep having these flashbacks of Jack. I was so blind to how toxic he was. But why can't I remember the accident? It's like my brain is blocking it." Sam sat next to her. "Sometimes, our brain does that to protect us from something too traumatic. But with time and the right support, you'll be able to piece it together. And I'll be here to help you." Chloe smiled with gratitude. "Thank you, Sam. I don't know what I would do without you." As Chloe struggled with her fragmented memories, Sam continued to face the challenges of balancing his work and caring for his mother. Each day seemed like a battle, but he found solace in the fact that he was making a difference in Chloe's life. She was also becoming a source of strength for him, something he hadn't expected. One night, Chloe had a vivid dream. She was in the car, driving along the coastal road. The rain was falling heavily, making it difficult to see. She remembered looking in the rearview mirror and seeing a black car following her closely. Her heart raced, and she began to feel panic set in. Suddenly, a dark figure appeared on the side of the road, forcing her to swerve sharply. The car skidded, and before she could react, she was falling. She woke with a start, her heart pounding in her chest. "Sam!" she called out, her voice trembling. Sam, who was on duty that night, came running into the room. "What happened, Chloe? Are you okay?" I remembered something. There was a black car following me, and a figure. Someone was on the road. I had to swerve. Sam frowned, processing the new information. That's important, Chloe. We need to tell the police. It could be a clue about what really happened that night. As Chloe began to unravel the mysteries of her accident, Sam faced a personal dilemma. His mother had a severe relapse, and he knew he needed to make a difficult decision. He couldn't continue dividing his time between work, Chloe, and the intensive care his mother required. In an honest conversation with his mother, he tried to explain his concerns. "Mom, I don't know what to do. I want to be here for you, but I also need to help Chloe. And my work, I'm being pulled in all directions." His mother looked at him with understanding eyes. "Sam, you've already done so much for me. Maybe it's time to consider other options. There are good care centers that can help me, and you can focus on your life and helping Chloe. You deserve to have your own life too." Sam knew his mother was right, but the decision was still painful. However, he realized that to be the support Chloe needed and to face his own demons, he would need to make that sacrifice. With the help of professionals, he found a good care center for his mother, where she could receive the necessary attention. This gave him more time and energy to dedicate to Chloe's recovery and the investigation of the accident. As Chloe and Sam continued to join forces, their lives intertwined in unexpected and profound ways. They were just beginning to uncover the extent of the dark secrets surrounding them, but they knew that together they could face any adversity. The mutual support not only helped Chloe regain her confidence, but also allowed Sam to confront his own traumas. As the days passed, Chloe and Sam began to meet outside the hospital environment, where their friendship quickly flourished. A deep bond began to form between them, driven by the long conversations they shared during walks on the beach or in quiet city cafes. On one of these occasions, while walking side by side, Chloe turned to Sam with a shy smile. "Did you know I loved to paint when I was a child?" she asked, her eyes shining with the memory. Sam looked at her with genuine interest. "No, I didn't know. Do you still paint?" Chloe shook her head, a touch of sadness in her eyes. "Not anymore. Life took different paths, but I miss it. Maybe one day I'll try again." Sam smiled, lightly touching her shoulder. "I think you should. Sometimes, returning to our old passions can be very therapeutic." Over time, Chloe began to open up more about her past, including the painful details of her relationship with Jack. Sam listened attentively, offering support without judgment. On one particularly difficult night, while sitting on Sam's porch, Chloe revealed one of the disturbing flashbacks that haunted her. "I remember Jack yelling at me, saying I would never be anything without him. It was like he wanted to destroy me emotionally," she said, tears starting to roll down her face. Sam, with eyes full of compassion, squeezed her hand. "You are much stronger than he ever imagined, Chloe. And now you have the chance to rebuild everything again, in your own way." Meanwhile, Sam faced his own challenges. After an exhausting shift at the hospital, he would come home every night to care for his sick mother. The weight of responsibilities began to bear down on his shoulders. One night, while preparing dinner, his mother, with a weak voice, called him. "Sam, you need to think of yourself too. You can't carry the world on your shoulders." He sighed, sitting next to her. "I know, Mom, but you are my priority now." She smiled, caressing his face. "You have always been so dedicated, but don't forget to live your own life." As Sam dealt with these personal dilemmas, an unexpected twist emerged in Chloe's life. She discovered, through a reliable source, that Jack was being investigated by the police. The news deeply shook her, raising suspicions that the accident that almost took her life might not have been a simple mishap. On a cloudy afternoon, Chloe met Sam at the cafe where they frequently met. She looked disturbed, which did not go unnoticed by him. "Chloe, what happened?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. She took a deep breath, trying to control her emotions. "Jack is being investigated by the police. They think he might have had something to do with the accident." Sam remained silent for a moment, processing the information. "That's serious. We need to find out the truth." As Chloe dealt with these disturbing revelations, Sam also confronted his past. While sifting through old documents at home, He found papers revealing that his father had been accused of medical negligence. It was a secret his mother had kept from him for years. One silent night, Sam confronted his mother about what he had discovered. "Mom, why did you never tell me about this?" She sighed, eyes filled with sadness. "I wanted to protect you, Sam. Your father. He wasn't guilty. It was a false accusation made by a vengeful colleague. I didn't want you to grow up with that shadow over you." Sam felt a mix of anger and sadness. "I needed to know, Mom. This is part of who I am." As both faced these personal revelations, the friendship between Chloe and Sam strengthened even more. They found in each other the support needed to deal with the demons of the past and the uncertainties of the present. Together, they began to investigate more deeply the events leading up to Chloe's accident, determined to uncover the truth. In one of these investigations, while reviewing records and talking to witnesses, Chloe turned to Sam and said with determination, "No matter what happens, we need to get to the bottom of this. I need to know what really happened that night." Sam nodded, his gaze firm. "We're in this together, Chloe. We won't stop until we discover the whole truth." Chloe was determined to confront Jack about her suspicions. After weeks of uncertainty and growing fear, she knew she needed to face the man she once loved, but who now seemed to be the source of her greatest anguish. She arranged to meet him at a quiet cafe in the city center, a public place where she would feel safer. Seeing him enter, Chloe felt a mix of anger and sadness. Jack appeared calm, but there was palpable tension in his eyes. When he sat across from her, she went straight to the point. "Jack, we need to talk about the accident," Chloe said, trying to keep her voice steady. Jack raised an eyebrow, pretending surprise. "What accident? Are you referring to the one on the coastal road? I thought we had already talked about that." Chloe pressed her lips together, feeling the frustration grow. "I'm not talking about any superficial conversation. I want to know the truth. Were you involved in it?" she asked, looking directly at him. There was a heavy moment of silence before Jack responded. "Chloe, how can you think that of me? I would never do anything to hurt you," he said, but there was something in his expression that betrayed his calmness. His fingers drummed nervously on the table, and he avoided her gaze. "Your reaction says otherwise," Chloe replied, not breaking eye contact. "I remember more things now. I remember seeing a mysterious figure following my car that night. Who was it? Were you stalking me?" Jack scoffed, but his attempt to maintain composure was crumbling. "This is ridiculous, Chloe. You're paranoid. It was an accident, nothing more." Chloe felt a wave of anger and pain sweep through her body. The memories of their abusive relationship came to the surface, and she knew she couldn't trust a word that came out of his mouth. "If it was an accident, then why are you so nervous?" she challenged. "I'm going to find out the truth, Jack, and if you're involved, you'll pay for it." Jack abruptly stood up, knocking over the chair. "Good luck with that, Chloe. I hope you find what you're looking for," he said with a threatening tone before leaving the cafe. Meanwhile, Sam was struggling with his own demons. The exhausting work as a paramedic and the care of his sick mother were starting to take their toll. He wondered if he could really continue being the support Chloe needed, especially when he himself was feeling so overwhelmed. On a particularly difficult night, Sam was sitting by his mother's bedside, watching her sleep. He held her hand, remembering how she had always been a source of strength for him, even in the darkest moments. Now, she was so fragile, and he felt powerless. "Mom, I don't know if I can continue like this," he murmured, more to himself than to her. "Chloe needs me, but I also need to be here with you. How can I do this?" His mother slowly opened her eyes and, with a weak voice, responded, "Sam, you have always been so strong. I know you can do whatever is necessary. Chloe seems to be a good person. She needs you now more than ever. Don't let fear stop you from helping those you love." Her words deeply touched Sam, giving him the courage he needed. He knew he couldn't let Chloe face this alone, but he also needed to find a way to take care of his mother. It was a difficult balance, but he was determined to make it work. The next day, Chloe began to have more flashbacks. Fragments of memory emerged in her mind, bringing with them a sense of dread. She remembered disturbing details about the night of the accident, including the mysterious figure that seemed to be following her car. More and more, she felt she was getting closer to the truth, but also knew this put her in greater danger. She shared these new memories with Sam, who listened attentively, concerned. "Sam, I'm starting to remember more things. That figure, I think it was following me before the accident. I don't know who it was, but I have a feeling Jack is involved somehow," Chloe said, her voice trembling. Sam squeezed her hand, trying to comfort her. "We'll find out, Chloe. You're not alone. I'm here with you, and we won't stop until we get all the answers." Chloe thanked him with a weak smile, feeling a little safer with Sam by her side. She knew the journey to uncover the truth would be long and difficult, but with Sam's support, she felt she could face anything. Sam was at home, exhausted after a long shift, when he found a letter hidden among his mother's things. The letter, yellowed with age, revealed a secret that would change his perception of the past. His father, whom he always believed to have been accused of medical negligence, was actually a victim of a setup by a vengeful colleague. The shock of this discovery made him question many things, including his own path and the choices that led him to become a paramedic. Meanwhile, Chloe, still shaken by the fragmented memories of the accident and the revelations about her ex-husband Jack, felt increasingly connected to Sam. They decided it was time to investigate together what really happened on the night of the accident. The first stop was the accident site, a treacherous cliff on the California coastal road. The rain had washed away much of the evidence, but Chloe hoped some detail could trigger more memories. "I remember driving. It was raining heavily, and I was so upset by the argument with Jack," Chloe said, her eyes fixed on the spot where her car had plummeted. Sam held her hand, offering comfort. "We'll find out the truth, Chloe. I promise." They interviewed witnesses, local residents who might have seen something that night. Among the people they spoke to, a fisherman mentioned seeing a suspicious car following Chloe shortly before the accident. This only heightened their suspicions about Jack. "He was always controlling, possessive," Chloe admitted. "But I never thought he could do something like this." Their investigation led them to a private detective who revealed something even more disturbing. The detective had been hired by Jack to follow Chloe, and his intentions were much more sinister than just spying on her. "I was just doing my job," said the detective, a middle-aged man with a weary air. "But when I realized he was planning something dangerous, I began to question my actions. I didn't want anyone to get hurt." Chloe felt a chill run down her spine. "Do you think he planned the accident?" The detective hesitated before answering. "I can't prove it, but all the evidence points to that." Sam, for his part, was dealing with his own demons. The revelation about his father and the need to care for his sick mother left him torn. He began to question whether he could be the support Chloe needed while dealing with his own crises. "You don't have to do this alone, Sam," Chloe said, noticing his anguish. "We're in this together." This partnership, this friendship that was transforming into something deeper, gave both of them the strength to continue. Together, they decided to confront Jack. Chloe arranged a meeting with him, determined to extract the truth. "You always wanted to control my life, Jack," Chloe said, facing him. "But this went too far. You planned the accident, didn't you?" Jack laughed nervously. "You're delusional, Chloe. I would never do something like that." But his reaction only increased their suspicions. Chloe was determined to uncover the truth, and now, with Sam by her side, she felt she could face anything. Meanwhile, Sam found more old documents that revealed the true guilt of his father's vengeful colleague. He began to understand that his mother had hidden the truth to protect him, and this helped him forgive her and himself. "I always thought my father was to blame," Sam said, tears in his eyes. "But now I see he was a victim of injustice. This changes everything." Chloe and Sam decided to return to the accident site, this time with the private detective. They wanted to examine every detail, every clue they could find. "What if there's something we missed?" Chloe asked, hopeful. "I believe every detail matters," the detective replied. Suddenly, Chloe had a flashback. She remembered a mysterious figure that seemed to be following her car on the night of the accident. This detail, combined with the detective's statements, reinforced her suspicions about Jack. "He was following me, Sam." "I'm sure of it now," Chloe said, determined. Sam put his hand on her shoulder. "We'll find out everything. We're not alone in this." With the detective's help, they obtained more information about Jack's movements on the night of the accident. Everything indicated he was obsessed with controlling every aspect of Chloe's life, including orchestrating dangerous situations to keep her under his control. "He's more dangerous than I imagined," Chloe admitted, feeling a mix of fear and determination. Sam, for his part, was more determined than ever to help Chloe. The discovery about his father and the forgiveness he felt towards his mother strengthened him. "We'll see this through to the end, Chloe. No matter what happens, we're in this together," Sam said, looking into her eyes. Chloe smiled, feeling stronger with Sam by her side. Chloe had been in a constant state of alert since she began investigating her accident. The fragmented memories and disturbing details that emerged gradually left her restless. One day, upon returning home after visiting Sam at the hospital, she found an anonymous envelope in her mailbox. Trembling, she opened it and read the message: "Stop investigating the accident, or you will suffer the consequences." The warning sent chills down her spine. She knew she was getting close to the truth, but now her safety was at risk. Determined not to be intimidated, Chloe sought out Sam to tell him about the threat. He was at home, exhausted after a long shift and worried about his mother's deteriorating health. When Chloe arrived, he noticed her pale expression and asked, "What happened, Chloe? Are you okay?" Chloe handed the letter to Sam, who read it with a grim expression. "This is serious," he said, holding her hand. "But we can't let this stop us. We need to find out the truth." Meanwhile, Sam's mother had a severe relapse, forcing him to make a difficult decision. He was torn between staying by her side or continuing to help Chloe. "I don't know what to do," he confessed to Chloe. "My mother needs me, but I also want to be here for you." Chloe, understanding the difficulty of the situation, responded, "Sam, your mother is important. I don't want you to feel guilty for wanting to take care of her. I can continue investigating on my own." Sam shook his head. "No, Chloe, we'll find a solution. I won't leave you alone in this." He decided to seek out a specialized care center for his mother, a place where she would receive the attention she needed while he could dedicate himself to the investigation. With that decision made, Chloe and Sam redoubled their efforts. During one of their searches into Jack's past, Chloe found an old diary hidden among his belongings that she still kept. The pages were filled with obsessive and manipulative notes, detailing plans and thoughts that confirmed her suspicions. The accident was not an accident. "Sam, you need to see this," Chloe said, handing him the diary. "Jack was obsessed. He planned all of this." Sam read the pages with a growing sense of horror. "This is concrete evidence, Chloe. We need to take this to the police." As they discussed the next steps, Chloe couldn't shake the fear the anonymous threat had instilled in her. "What if they come after us, Sam? What if they try to hurt us?" Sam hugged her, trying to convey safety. "We'll face this together. I promise I won't let anything happen to you." The investigation continued, and they decided to confront the private detective Jack had hired to follow Chloe. The detective reluctantly revealed that Jack had much more sinister plans than just monitoring her movements. "He didn't trust you, Chloe. He thought you were hiding something from him and wanted to catch you in the act, but I don't know the details of what he planned." This revelation only heightened the urgency of their investigation. Chloe and Sam were determined to uncover the whole truth, even if it meant confronting unexpected dangers. They knew they were dealing with a sick mind and that every step forward could put them at greater risk, but the desire for justice and the connection they had developed pushed them forward. During one of those nights of investigation, Chloe received a call from an unknown number. "Chloe, it's me, Jack," said the voice on the other end of the line. "I know what you're doing. Stop now, or you'll regret it." Fear gripped her, but she didn't let it paralyze her. "I'm not going to stop, Jack. I'm going to find out everything you did and expose you." The call ended abruptly, but Chloe knew Jack was getting desperate. Sam, upon hearing about the call, became even more determined to protect her. "He's losing control, Chloe. This could work in our favor." Chloe agreed, but the fear that Jack might carry out his threats kept her uneasy. They knew they were in a race against time to gather enough evidence before Jack could act. As they progressed, Chloe began to have clearer flashbacks of the night of the accident. She remembered a mysterious figure following her and a growing sense of panic. "Sam, I think someone was in the car with Jack that night. I remember seeing a shadow in the back seat. This led them to investigate further, trying to discover who might have been Jack's accomplice. The puzzle pieces were beginning to fit together, but there was still much to uncover. Chloe and Sam knew they were on a dangerous journey, but they also knew they couldn't stop. Sam was at a decisive moment in his life. After weeks of exhausting care for his mother, he realized he couldn't continue dividing his time between work, investigating Chloe's accident, and domestic responsibilities. After much reflection, he made the difficult decision to place his mother in a specialized care center. The decision wasn't easy, but he knew it was the only way to provide her with the attention she deserved while also dedicating himself fully to the new demands in his life. Chloe, for her part, was also facing her own challenges. Since the accident, her life had become a roller coaster of emotions and disturbing discoveries. The flashbacks of her abusive relationship with Jack and the shocking revelations about the accident left her in a constant state of alert. However, with Sam by her side, she found the strength to continue investigating and seeking the truth. On a rainy afternoon, Chloe and Sam decided to meet with the private detective Jack had hired to follow her. The middle-aged man with a tired expression received them in his cramped and dimly lit office. "I knew you would come," said the detective, lighting a cigarette with trembling hands. Jack wasn't just a jealous husband. He was planning something much more sinister. Chloe and Sam exchanged worried looks. "What do you mean by sinister?" Chloe asked, her voice filled with apprehension. "Jack was obsessed with controlling every aspect of your life, Chloe. He hired me to follow you, but soon I realized he wanted more than just information. He talked about a plan B in case you tried to leave definitively." "Plan B?" Sam intervened, tension evident on his face. What exactly did he want to do? The detective took a deep drag on the cigarette before responding. He was never clear about the details, but he constantly mentioned that you couldn't escape him so easily. He was determined to ruin your life if necessary. When I heard about the accident, I couldn't help but think it wasn't a coincidence. Chloe felt a chill run down her spine. The detective's words only confirmed her worst suspicions. Jack had been more dangerous than she ever imagined. As they processed this information, Chloe and Sam knew they needed to act quickly. Every moment of hesitation could be fatal. They decided to confront Jack, knowing the risks involved. However, before they could make any move, Jack surprised them by suddenly appearing at one of Chloe's regular meetings with Sam. "So, you two have been getting close, haven't you?" said Jack with a malicious smile. "Be careful, Chloe. You don't know who you're getting involved with." Chloe felt the anger bubbling inside her. "What do you want, Jack? Why can't you just leave me alone?" "Leave you alone? Never. You are mine, Chloe. And if you insist on continuing this investigation, I'll expose some secrets about your dear Sam here. He's not as perfect as he seems." Sam remained calm, but inside he was boiling. "What are you trying to do, Jack? Intimidate us? We won't give up so easily." Jack laughed, a cold sound that made Chloe shiver. "We'll see, Sam. We'll see." After the tense meeting, Chloe and Sam knew they were in a race against time. Jack was willing to do anything to keep her under his control, and now he threatened to expose secrets from Sam's past. Chloe felt guilty for involving Sam in this dangerous situation, but he reassured her. "We're in this together, Chloe. I won't let you face this alone." Determined to uncover the truth and protect themselves from Jack, they decided to follow a new lead. The private detective had mentioned that Jack had an accomplice, someone who was closer to Chloe than she could have imagined. This revelation led them to investigate more thoroughly the people around her. It was an arduous task, filled with distrust and uncertainties. Every person they knew seemed to be a potential traitor, and the tension increased every day. However, Chloe and Sam didn't give up. They finally concluded that they should confront the detective again. In a new visit to his office, they pressured him for more information. "You mentioned an accomplice. Who is this person?" Chloe asked, her voice firm. The detective hesitated, but finally gave in. "Are you sure you want to know?" "Yes, we are," Sam replied with determination. "It's the nurse who took care of Chloe in the hospital. She and Jack have a secret connection. She was helping Jack monitor Chloe's every move, even after the accident." Chloe was shocked. "The nurse? Someone she trusted during her recovery was involved with Jack? This was more than she could bear. However, now that they knew the truth, they needed to act quickly to protect themselves and expose the real culprits. After weeks of uncertainties and disturbing discoveries, Chloe and Sam were finally ready to confront Jack, the man who had turned their lives into chaos. United by a connection that grew stronger each day, they knew they couldn't let Jack continue to manipulate their lives. The decision to confront him wasn't easy, but it was necessary for them to move forward. That night, sitting in the living room of Sam's small apartment, they devised a meticulous plan. The private detective, who had been hired by Jack to follow Chloe, was now on their side. He offered to be the bait to lure Jack into a trap. Chloe, despite her fear, agreed to the idea. She knew they needed to catch Jack in the act, and this seemed to be the only way. "Are you sure this will work?" Chloe asked, her voice trembling slightly. Sam held her hand firmly, his eyes reflecting the same mix of emotions. "Yes, it will work. We're going to catch Jack, and he will pay for everything he's done," he said, trying to reassure her. The detective, a middle-aged man with a serious expression, nodded. "We need to be careful and stick to the plan. Jack is dangerous and unpredictable," he warned. On the appointed night, Chloe and Sam strategically positioned themselves in a hidden spot, watching the meeting between the detective and Jack. Chloe's heart was pounding, and she could barely breathe. The detective began talking to Jack, putting the plan into action to reveal his involvement in Chloe's accident. "I know what you did, Jack, and I'm ready to tell the police everything," the detective said confidently. Jack, with a cynical smile, replied, "You think you can blackmail me? You have no idea who you're dealing with." As the tension rose, Chloe and Sam realized something was wrong. Jack seemed to be one step ahead, as if he already knew their plan. In a swift move, Jack managed to escape, leaving everyone stunned and frustrated. Chloe felt a wave of despair, but before running after Jack, he threw one last taunt. "You think you can catch me? Someone close to you is helping me. You'll never know who it is," Jack shouted before disappearing into the darkness. The revelation that someone close to them was betraying their trust was a devastating blow. Chloe and Sam returned to the apartment in silence, their thoughts swirling. Who could be working with Jack? The distrust began to grow, creating an invisible barrier between them and everyone around them. "We need to find out who's betraying us, Sam," Chloe said, finally breaking the silence. "We can't trust anyone until we solve this." Sam agreed, but the weight of the situation was starting to affect him. "I know, Chloe, but how are we going to find out who it is? It could be anyone." As they tried to process the situation, Sam began to mentally review all his colleagues at work, trying to identify who could be the traitor. Chloe, on the other hand, reflected on everyone she knew, looking for clues that might point to Jack's accomplice. The following days were marked by a constant sense of paranoia and tension. Chloe and Sam avoided discussing the matter, but the distrust was always present. One day, while reviewing old documents at the hospital, Sam found something that caught his attention. It was a note in an emergency report, something that seemed out of place. His colleague, Mark, had made a comment that now seemed suspicious. With his heart beating faster, Sam decided to confront Mark. "Do you know anything about Chloe's accident that you haven't told us?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Mark, initially surprised, soon adopted a defensive expression. "What are you talking about, Sam? I don't know anything." But Sam wasn't convinced. "Stop lying, Mark. I know you're involved. You're working with Jack, aren't you?" Mark hesitated for a moment before finally giving in. Okay. Jack bribed me to monitor your movements. He said he had something big planned and that I would be well rewarded." The revelation left Sam furious, but also relieved to have finally found the traitor. He knew he needed to tell Chloe immediately. When he arrived at the apartment, he found Chloe sitting on the couch, lost in thought. "Chloe, I found out who's betraying us. It's Mark, my colleague. He's been bribed by Jack," Sam said urgently. Chloe stood up, surprised and relieved at the same time. "So, we finally know who it is. But we still have to catch Jack. He can't stay free." With Mark's information, Chloe and Sam devised a new plan. This time, there would be no mistakes. They were determined to catch Jack and end this pursuit once and for all. The private detective, now armed with new information, was ready to help once again. The next night, Chloe and Sam were ready for the final confrontation. They met with Jack in an isolated location, where they knew they could catch him without interference. Jack, as confident as ever, didn't realize the trap until it was too late. "You can't escape this time, Jack. We know everything," Chloe said with a firmness that surprised even herself. Jack, realizing he was cornered, tried one last card. "You really think you can catch me? I still have tricks up my sleeve." But this time, Chloe and Sam were prepared. With the detective's help, they had gathered enough evidence to incriminate Jack. He was arrested, and the sense of relief was immediate. Chloe and Sam, immersed in a spiral of distrust, began to question the loyalty of everyone around them. The fear of betrayal hung over their minds like a dark cloud, obscuring any clarity they might have previously had. Every movement, every look, every word spoken by those around them was meticulously analyzed. They knew someone close to them was acting as a spy, but who could it be? The tension was palpable. Chloe, still fragile from the recovered memories of the accident and the abusive relationship with Jack, found herself in a constant state of alert. She looked at Sam, her anchor amidst the chaos, and saw the same concern reflected in his eyes. "Sam, I don't know who to trust. I feel like we're being watched all the time," Chloe confessed, hugging herself to try to contain the tremor in her hands. Sam, for his part, felt the weight of responsibility. He needed to protect Chloe while managing his own emotional and family issues. "We'll find out who the traitor is, Chloe. I promise. But we need to be cautious," he replied, his voice firm despite the internal unease. Determined to uncover the truth, Sam began to observe his colleagues at work more closely. He noticed suspicious behavior in one of the paramedics, a man named Brian. Brian always seemed to be around when Sam received calls or had important conversations with Chloe. At first, Sam tried to dismiss the suspicions, but the more he observed, the more convinced he became that Brian was involved. One day, while Sam was reviewing some reports in the office, Brian approached him casually, but Sam noticed the tension in his eyes. "Hey, Sam, how are you? I heard you and that woman from the accident have been spending a lot of time together. Any special reason?" Brian asked, trying to sound uninterested. "We're just trying to understand what happened that night. Helping her recover her memory," Sam replied, trying to maintain a neutral tone. Brian gave a forced smile and left the office, but Sam felt something was wrong. Determined to get proof, he began to follow Brian discreetly, observing his movements outside of work. He saw him entering a bar and meeting with a man Sam recognized as one of Jack's associates. The confirmation of his suspicions was a heavy blow, but also an opportunity. Sam decided to confront Brian at a time when he knew they would be alone. "Brian, we need to talk," Sam said, with a tone that left no room for refusal. Seeing Sam's determined look, Brian knew he could no longer hide the truth. "Sam, I had no choice. Jack bribed me. He threatened my family if I didn't cooperate," Brian admitted, his voice trembling. "I never wanted to betray you, but he has people everywhere. I was just trying to protect mine." Sam looked at Brian, seeing the mix of fear and regret in his eyes. "You need to help us take down Jack. Tell us everything you know. Every detail could be crucial," Sam insisted. Brian, seeing a chance for redemption, agreed to help. He revealed valuable information about Jack's movements and plans, information that Sam and Chloe could use to protect themselves. Meanwhile, Chloe had one last and decisive flashback. The memories of the night of the accident came back in a violent torrent. She remembered Jack arguing with a mysterious figure while she was tied in the car. The figure had a familiar face, but she couldn't fully identify it until that moment. Desperate to share this new revelation, Chloe called Sam. "Sam, I remembered something important. Jack wasn't alone that night. He had an accomplice, someone I know, but I can't remember who," Chloe said, her voice filled with anxiety. "Chloe, we need to put all the pieces together. Brian told me more about Jack's involvement and plans. Let's meet and see how everything fits," Sam replied, feeling they were getting closer to the truth. When they met, Chloe and Sam shared their discoveries. Sam mentioned that Brian also heard Jack talking about an accomplice, someone who had easy access to Chloe. Suddenly, something clicked in Chloe's mind. The nurse. The nurse who took care of me at the hospital. She was always around, always asking questions about the accident. It must be her, Chloe exclaimed, feeling a shiver down her spine. Let's check this out. We need proof before we confront her, Sam said, determined. They devised a plan to expose the nurse, knowing they were dealing with a dangerous person and that any mistake could be fatal. Chloe and Sam were on the brink of a new chapter in their lives, but first, they needed to confront the lingering shadows of the past. The revelation that the nurse who had cared for Chloe in the hospital was involved in the accident was a devastating shock. The couple, who had become inseparable during the investigation, knew they had to face this new threat with courage and determination. Are you sure it's her? Chloe asked, her voice trembling with incredulity and anger. Sam nodded, his face reflecting the same mix of emotions. Yes, Chloe. All the clues point to her. We need to confront her and find out the whole truth, Sam replied, holding Chloe's hand firmly. Determined to resolve the situation once and for all, Chloe and Sam went to the hospital where the nurse still worked. Upon arrival, they felt a palpable tension in the air. The nurse, named Karen, was on the night shift. They found her in the corridor, adjusting medications on a cart. Karen, we need to talk, Sam said, trying to keep calm in his voice. Karen looked at them, her eyes revealing a brief flicker of fear before she composed herself. Sure, what do you need? She asked, with practiced calmness. We know about your connection with Jack. We know you were involved in the accident, Chloe fired, without preamble. Karen's expression changed instantly, her facade of calmness crumbling. I don't know what you're talking about, she tried to deny, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Please, Karen, we just want to know the truth, Sam insisted, stepping forward. Why did you do it? Karen hesitated for a moment before finally breaking down. I did it for the money. Jack promised me an amount I couldn't refuse. He said it was just to scare you, Chloe. It wasn't supposed to be like this, she confessed, tears streaming down her face. The shock and anger bubbled up inside Chloe. You almost killed me. And for what? For money? She yelled, unable to contain her emotions. Before they could continue the conversation, Karen, in a desperate move, grabbed a syringe from the cart and lunged towards Chloe. In a split second, Sam placed himself between them, struggling to disarm Karen. Stop this, Karen. It doesn't have to end like this, he shouted, trying to hold her wrist. The struggle was intense, but Sam managed to deflect the syringe and held Karen firmly, preventing her from struggling. Call the police, Chloe, Sam said, breathing heavily. Chloe, still trembling, grabbed her phone and called the private detective who had helped them earlier, explaining the situation urgently. A few minutes later, the police arrived, taking Karen into custody. With her confession and the evidence gathered by the detective, Chloe and Sam finally had what they needed to incriminate Jack. Back at the police station, the detective revealed another shocking piece of the puzzle. Jack wasn't just an obsessed ex-husband, but also Sam's biological father. Sam's mother, in a last-ditch effort to protect him, had hidden this truth for years. This can't be true, Sam murmured, feeling the ground disappear beneath his feet. Chloe, beside him, squeezed his hand, offering support. I know it's hard, Sam, but we're in this together, she said, her eyes filled with compassion and strength. The detective confirmed the documents and evidence, making it clear that Sam's mother had kept this secret to prevent him from being influenced by Jack, a manipulative and dangerous man. The revelation deeply shook Sam, but it also brought a new understanding of his own story. I always felt there was more to my story, but I never imagined this, Sam confessed to Chloe as they walked along the beach, a place they often went to find peace. You're much more than your origins, Sam. And now, knowing the whole truth, we can move forward together. Without any more secrets, Chloe responded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The connection between Chloe and Sam, forged in the midst of chaos and danger, was now stronger than ever. Together, they had faced and overcome unimaginable challenges, and this journey had united them in profound and unbreakable ways. With Jack and Karen finally behind bars, Chloe and Sam could start rebuilding their lives, free from the shadows of the past. They moved into a small house near the coast, where each dawn represented a new opportunity to start afresh. "Are we ready for this?" Chloe asked as she unwrapped boxes in the living room. "With you by my side, I'm ready for anything," Sam replied, pulling her into a hug. And so, united by fate and strengthened by love and truth, Chloe and Sam began a new chapter of their lives. The road ahead was uncertain, but together, they knew they could face anything.